All right, today we're doing the brakes on this 2019 Lexus. You guys have seen this before. Lady needed brakes real bad. She didn't have the money. I'm like, well, you know, $80,000 vehicle, whatever it is. But I get it. People, 2019, she doesn't have money. It's one of them things. So I'm doing the brakes on it because they're really thin. I'll show you the other side. And I'm going to show you how to do these brakes without too many problems and how to do it right. These are the brake pads that came off here. You can see she was right down to the metal, basically. So we got new rotors from Lexus, original equipment. I don't believe on Lexus using anything but the original stuff. Also, I recommend that you get these plates for the back. They have a special back material on them. This is two of them right here. Gotta get them apart. But they stick to the back of the pad. Not stick, but they hold on the back of the pad. Prevent chattering and whatnot. So I'd definitely replace those if you don't replace springs. She didn't have all the money, so if we kind of went with the cheapest route, we left the springs and the pins in. And these really you should replace the pins in the spring kit, but the pins, I just put a little slow glide on them, and they will work like that. It's not the best thing. We'll collect a little road dust and dirt, but it's better than having them dry, in my opinion. They won't chatter as much and keeps the rust from building up on those pins. They've been already cleaned already with steel wool, but they're not the cleanest. So anyway, first thing you want to do when you start this brake job, before I get off babbling on a tangent, is you want to take and go to your brake cylinder on the inside, and you want to undo the cap for the brake cylinder. The reason is when you start compressing these pistons, you're going to want to let the fluid flow back to that without pressure, and it makes it a lot easier. And I'm going to be holding the phone. I'm going to get my wife to hold the phone while I show you how to take the rest of this stuff off, and I'll be right back. I'm going to pause this video and go to it. I'm going to show how I do the brakes on this Lexus. Lexus are pretty easy to do, and we'll go real quick how you take it apart. I was surprised. I want to show you some of the work that some mechanics do somewhere. This vehicle was bought used from the lady who bought it. Take a look in here. They were doing some work on something. Instead of taking the clips loose, they literally busted this plastic out to get the parts down in there. I don't know where we bought it. She bought it used, so I don't know who did this work, but look at over here too. They literally busted all that out. That's just crappy work. You know, anyone that do work like that doesn't deserve to touch a vehicle, especially a Lexus. So anyway, first thing you should do before I get on a tangent again, take some, any kind of rust preventative. I use what's the oil stuff I use over there? It's the PB Blaster. I use PB Blaster, I squirt in all these holes. You notice that there's one of these holes has threads in them. I think both of them do. And you can use this bolt up here, which is a bracket that holds the line on for the brakes. So you can take this bolt out, and it will, I'll show you later, you run it in there, so if this is stuck a little bit, you can get it to pop without having any special tools on it. It's kind of a nice feature that they put that thread. So a lot of cars do that, a lot of Hondas and other things do the same thing, but let me go through this and start getting after it. So you'll want to have a few pry bars over here. You want to have a few pry bars so you can do this, and I didn't turn the wheel. I could have turned the wheel this way, but I didn't do that, so we're going to go ahead and just suffer with it for now. You want to start with here, and you take this little clip and you push it down. You pull these out of there like that, and there's one on each side. So you pop them out. These are into the pins. Put my glasses on, sorry. Old age. Anyway, this clip, as you can see right here, goes into each one of these pins. That is your retaining clip. And it goes through this center piece here. And you can take it off either way, just so you don't bend it. Get that down through the hole like so. There we go. And then these slide into the pins. When you put it in, I'll show you when you do it in, you start at the bottom, start at the top, and then push the center one in. That's how you get that one out. This thing, we'll take it out after we pull the pins out because it is actually retaining that pin. Some of the Lexus have two of these on. This particular GX 460 only has one. So once we push the pins out, which, like I said, we're reusing these pins. Normally, I recommend you replace them. She didn't have the money, so we're saving her some money, and we will clean these up the best we can with some steel wool, and then I put a little Sil Glide on them. Some people think, well, you shouldn't put anything on them, you know, because they're going to collect debris and whatnot, but I can tell you that it's a good idea to put some Sil Glide on there to protect them, you know. So you do that, and this clip comes out pretty easy, just pops out. When you put it in, you'll notice these two round humps here on each side, and this is where your pin goes to. So here's your holes for your pins. I'll show you when we put it together too, but I'm just going over it. You put these little humps on each side of the pad, and then this part goes into that hole right there. And then the pin slides through that hole there, and you just push it in, and it'll hold the pin in. That's how that works. Now, from this point, you're gonna wanna take your pry bar, a little bit bigger pry bar, and you're not gonna reuse these rotors, so you're gonna get in here and you're gonna start prying on it. What you're doing is I've already taken the cap off power steering, and we're prying it to compress the pistons. You can do this without using a piston compressor. You can use 2 screwdrivers, because what happens when you compress one side, the other side starts to compress. But I just start at one side, and I just work it back. And I get it down pretty good. You can see that it's coming a little bit looser. And I could actually pull that out right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to start on this side now. And I'll take this other pry bar, stick it in here, and just leave it there. And then I will open this one up a little bit. Work on the edges first. You can see it's going. The pistons are compressing. If she can get in here, you might be able to see the pistons are compressing as I'm doing it. Doesn't matter if you chip the rotor or chip these pads. You're getting rid of them. We're getting all new backing. They call them, I guess, shim plates or whatever on the back of them. We're going to replace all that. So once you get those compressed, this way you can compress the pistons all the way down, and you don't need a special compression piston tool to do it. I've got those, but there's no need to use it on this particular car. You can do it like this. A lot of 4 pistons, Audis, stuff like that. You can do the same thing. Push them in. So that goes in. We're all in there. That's all in. I actually heard fluid go back in on that one. Now push this one in. There we go. And I'm going all the way so I get the piston completely compressed, so I don't have to deal with them later. So now your pads just come out like this. This is a plate on back that basically just rides up against there. It's got a rubberized material on it that keeps it from vibrating and chattering when it hits. It didn't come off, but if you drop it, there you go. So basically that has a material on it, has some moisture and stuff in there. Some people want to put grease on the back of them. I usually don't, because the material they put on there I think works just fine. But some people do. Now when you take these out, one more thing, the inside pad on most every vehicle is always going to have your wear indicator on it. And I'm going to show you that here in a second. So when you pull this out, there's your wear indicator. Now what that does, any vehicle, this wear indicator, you see these are really thin. She waited way too dang long. This wear indicator here has got to go to the leading edge. So as your wheel turns and it's going like this forward, this little indicator hits on the rotor. And so whenever you put these in, you're always going to know that you put it in like this. And the reason for that is it's just the way they design them. And you could probably put it the other way and it wouldn't cause a problem, but it always goes on the inside and it always goes to the leading edge of the rotor. So that's how that works, okay? And that also has one of the plates on the back of it also. I already took that out. So from here, what you're going to want to do is we take this loose here, and that is a 12 millimeter. And I just do that early, get it out of the way. And this bolt will be used later. We're going to screw it into the rotor here, and I'm going to show you how we break the rotor loose once we get ready to do it. So we got that. And now on the back here, I have to get my other socket. I'm going to cut the video for right now, and I'm going to put the other socket on, and we're going to go to the back and show you how that comes apart. All right, so back on these back bolts, you really can't see real well. You want to put, I got a swivel on here, and this one is a, I can't remember what the hell it was, 19 millimeter. And so you come back in here, and your bolt, you have 2 bolts that hold the caliper on. And these, I start with the bottom one first. You want to put this so that you can get a little room on it. Stupid question, Mama. Should be on reverse, but I'm gonna check it. Yeah, it's on reverse. Huh. All right, last one just came out easy. Let's try the top one, see if it comes out at all. All right. All right. Well, we have prepared for that too. We're gonna get a large bar that I have over here and get it loose. All right. socket here. All right, I need 19. All right, so I used the breaker bar, hit it with a hammer, finally get it loose. It was pretty tight. So now from this point, we're going to go ahead and loosen them up with this. All right, and then all right. Like I say, you get the impact there. It didn't get a good bite or something this time, so I don't know. But anyway, leave the bottom bolt in, because once you take these out, you're gonna need to put this on there right away. I just banged my head again. So take the bottom bolt out. We're gonna put this over to the frame. Then I'm gonna get the rotor off. You just two bolts holding this on. And these are really easy brakes on these. So yeah, there's the bolt for that one. There's the back bolt. And I just take the caliper and I set it like this without bending that line. You see, it's a solid line right there. So you want to make sure that you don't bend that solid line. So I just take it and I try to find a spot I can hook it to where it's not going to put pressure on it. And it'll hold it out of the way like this. So right about there. And then I can, put a little grease on these and I clean these up with the brush. And I guess I'll need to show you all that. I'll take a brush and I'll clean all this out where the pads ride in there. I do not grease that, but I do put a little grease on each piston. There's 4 pistons in here. I'll put a little grease in each piston, make sure these 2 are compressed all the way. And then I'll do that later. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this. We're gonna see if a couple slight blows with the hammer will take loose. So we start here and we just go around it. And I'm not hitting the hell out of it. It's just love taps. Don't let that happen to your caliper. Okay, it's still holding it. Don't hit your studs. And then last but not least, we take the bolt here, run it in there, and you if it gets too bad, you don't want to go too far. This has a tip on it to allow you to get it into the frame without any problems. It's not threaded all the way, so if you damage that a little bit, it's not that big a deal. But if you don't want to damage your bolt, so you put that in there like so, and I hear a phone ringing. Yeah, that's coming from. Oh, that's weird. So you just tighten this up. There we go. You hear it pop?
I did.
You getting this on film?
Yeah.
All right, so see, that just broke it loose now. That's all you got to do to get that off. And now your rotor's off. Like I said, this bolt didn't do any damage to it. Still got the end piece on it like it was. No damage. Hey, people have their loud car. Oh, it's our daughter. Who do you think?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how you take the rotor off. So now I'm going to get the other new rotor out. They're all Lexus original parts. Take this off, and we're going to get after it. You can pause that video. This is what I use to clean the hubs up. You want to make sure you clean these hubs because any rust in here, or as they call it, rust jacking. We don't have a problem so much in Texas. But I like to use this in there, and I like to clean it up with it. You put it on any 1/2-inch impact, and it will clean this up. And it has a spot, you can go over the top of the lug like this, but on this particular version, it hits on this too much, so I can't really get in there, so I have to do the other part by hand because of the way this 460 is designed. But I can at least clean up the majority of this and get it clean. So we're going to do that, and we'll come back in a few minutes. I'm going to have to take that off, and we'll come back. So what I've done is I've cleaned these up, the tracks where the pads go. I put a little bit of Silga on each end of these pistons where they contact the back of the pad in here. Just a little bit. Don't overdo it. You want dirt to form there. I just put a little bit on the back there to make it better. Now you come in the back, and you're going to want to line this up and then run your bolts in. My glasses on again. That really makes it difficult, but anyway. You line it up with the screws, bolts, run them in. Get the top one first. May have to fight with it a little bit, but it'll go. Once you get the top one in, it'll hold the caliper up there for you, and then you can attach the other bolt. But I just do it by finger most of the way up in. Wiggle the caliper when you're doing it. It'll help you get it in. Then I get the other bolt, get it started on the bottom also. And I don't know if you'll be able to see with me in the way here, but the bottom bolt's you'll see it when you go to work on it. It lines up right down in there, and you screw the threads in there.
I'm not sure I'm getting it, but I'm trying.
Your camera's this way towards me more. A little bit out, maybe. This way. No, never mind. You're not getting it. It's okay. They'll get the gist of it. All right. So we're going to impact these in real quick. And then we'll torque them. They're 83 foot-pounds. So... those in, we will torque them, but first, before we do that, we want to line this up. This light is going to be in the way. I had to swap to this light. It really is not a good light like the other one is. So you got to put this into the slot and then in there, and then you get your bolt in. So this is the bolt that I told you about. It's for the brake line. It goes to, that's what I used to get the caliper loose. So you get that in. Snug that up, and then I'll come back in a minute after I snug that up and torque these. I get the torque wrench out over here, and torque wrench behind you. I'll get all that torqued up. These are 83 foot-pounds on those two bolts. Get that torqued up, snug this up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I put the pads in. All right, well, I got the outer pad in. You're supposed to do that one first. It makes it a little easier, supposedly. Had a little difficulty getting this back because I didn't press the pistons all the way, so I had to make sure I got those back. You slide these plates on the back just like this, rest them on top, and then these just drop in. You want to make sure that you get them to where they line up with the pinholes here, okay? And I think this one's a little too low, but there we go. And then what we'll do is I got to clean these pins up, and what I use on those is steel wool. There should be some right here. You see this there, right here. So I just use steel wool on these. Now, some people say, well, you should really replace these and get new ones. She couldn't afford it, so I just said we'll clean them up because you can use these over again. They get a little pitted with rust and whatnot, but if you put a little Sil Glide on these, it'll collect. Yeah, it's going to collect brake dust and everything like that, but it's not going to rust and it's not going to cause brake chatter. It shouldn't, and so that's what we're going with. We're cleaning these up, getting them nice and clean, and then I'm going to put some Sil Glide on them. And we'll come back and I'll show you when the brake job's done. So I'll show you how to put the springs in as soon as we get these cleaned up. You shouldn't have to sit here and watch me clean these. I coated the slide pin with a little bit of Sil Glide, high temperature, of course. The whole end goes here, and I take the bottom spring and I go like this, and I'll start it on this one here, push it in here. Make sure you get this piece on top of the pad right there. Slide that in. Over here, push that in, then you come this one up here, and it should pop right down into that hole. There we go. And this one down in here like that. And those sit on top of the pad there. The hole goes through there, and then you take your pin. Again, this has a little Sil Glide on it. And you line it up, and it should come through right here on that bracket. You can see where it goes through. Now you've got that. Now, to line up your holes, take your last spring, take the ends of this, and find your hole, and then turn it to where it's up like this, at an angle towards you. Same here, turn this one down to where it's up at an angle. And once you got that one, you do the top one, then do the bottom one, stick it in the hole. And I did backwards. Let me flip it. This got to go into that, is what I did. So you stick this in the hole, and this one goes in the bottom hole. And the main one goes in the center, like that. That goes around there and holds it. These hold the pins in, keep them from sliding. and you are done. This holds that pin in, holds it secure, puts pressure on it. It keeps from rattling. I guess the bottom pin rattles. Usually they put 2 of them on most of the Lexus. This one they didn't. So this is backed up. I'm going to check everything. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this back up, recheck all the torques on it, put the wheels on. One thing I forgot to tell you, when you're doing the brakes, put one lug nut on here and holds the rotor tight. So when you do all this work, the rotor, otherwise the rotor just loose on there, will be flapping around. So put a lug nut on, just hand tight, and it'll prevent you some hassles. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these. I torqued these. I already torqued these already. I got to tighten this one back up. And then we're going to do a brake test on it. We'll take it out. You want to do several hard brakes with it to break the initial pads into the rotor. If you don't do that, you're going to probably have squealing, or if it's someone else's car like this is, they'll get their car and wondering why it's could pulsate or it could squeal. So take it out, do a few hard brakes, get up a little speed, do some hard brakes, and not lock them up, but just bear down hard on them so that you break those initial pads in. I recommend you do that several times before you give it to the customer or to your friend or whatever, in my case, people I'm helping out. And that's the video. I will show you it when it's all done and how well the brakes work. Well, I just got back with the vehicle. Works fine. I did the brake checks where you speed up a little bit, about 45, 50 miles on it. You just bear down hard and come to a complete stop several times. And I do that to set the brakes and wear the pads a little bit, put a few miles on before she gets it. It's ready to go. Everything's good. I forgot to take you all for a test drive, but it's done.